Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nguyen. Chapter 2. The Root Cause of All Suffering. One who looks around him is intelligent. One who looks within him is wise. Mechona Hulehu. We live in a world of thoughts, not reality. Sandy Banks once said, "Thought is not reality, yet it is through thoughts that our reality are created." Each of us live through our own perception of the world, which are vastly different from the person next to us. An example of this is that you could be sitting in a coffee shop having a quieter life existential crisis, completely stressed out of your mind about how you have no idea what you are doing with your life, when it seems like everyone else has thrives together while the person next to you is happily enjoying their freshly brewed drink while peacefully people watching. You both are in the same exact coffee shop, smelling the same aroma, surrounded by same strangers. But how the world looks to both of you couldn't be more different. Many of us go through the exact same events or in the same location at the same time, yet are having completely different experience of the world. Here's another example of how we live in a world of thoughts and not reality. If you walk up to 100 different people and ask each of them what money means to them, how many different answers do you think you will get? Close to 100 different answers. Money is technically the same thing, but it means something different to each person. Money could mean time, freedom, opportunity, security, peace of mind, or it could mean evil, greed, and the reason why people commit crimes. For now, I am not going to get into which one is right or wrong. Hint, there is no right or wrong answer, but that is for a different chapter. Another illustration of this concept is as follows. If you survey 100 different people and ask each of them what they think of our current president, how many different answers do you think you will get? Even though it is the same exact person we are thinking about, we will get 100 different answers because most people live in their own thoughts and perception of the world. The meaning or thinking we give an event is what determines how we ultimately feel about it. That meaning or thinking is the filter through which we see life from then on. Because of this, we live through a perception of reality, not in reality itself. Reality is that the event happened within no meaning, thinking, or interpretation of it. Any meaning or thinking we give the event is on us, and that is how our perception of reality is created. This is how our experience of life is created from the inside out. It's not about the event that happen in our lives, but our interpretation of them, which causes us to feel good or bad about something. This is how people in third world countries can be happier than people in first world countries, and people in the first world countries can be more miserable than people in third world countries. Our feelings do not come from external events but from our own thinking about the event. Therefore, we can only ever feel what we are thinking. Let's hypothetical say that you rarely hate your job and it causes you an immense amount of stress, anxiety, and frustration. It pins you to even set foot in the building where you work, and just thinking about your job makes you furious. When you are thinking about your job, you are just sitting there on a stuff with your family watching a TV show together, but you are foaming at the thought of your job. Everyone else is having a good time except you. In this moment, everyone else in your family is having a different experience of life than you. Even thought the same event is happening. Just the thought of work created a whole different perception of reality. Even thought you are not physically at work. If it were true that external event causes us to feel that way we feel inside, then you should be a happy creep in your living room watching a funny TV show with your family every single time you do this activity, but that's not the case. Now, you may be saying that you are only feeling this way because an external event, your job, is causing you to feel stressed and anxious. To that, I will ask a question. Is it absolute true that every single person feels the exact same way about the job they are working in? Two different people can be doing the exact same job but will have completely different experience of their job. It can be the most amazing experience and a dream job for one person but be another person worst nightmare and living hell. The only difference between one person and the other is how they think about their job, which determines how they ultimately feel about it. Now, let's go back to the original scenario of your hypothetical hating your job. Remember how much stress, anxiety, and frustration is caused you when you think about it. Let's do an quick thought experiment about that by answering the question below. How would you be without the thought that you hated your job? Take a minute to see what comes up for you and don't move on until you do that. If you don't overthinking it and truly let the answer surface from within you, without the thought, you will most likely feel and be happy, peaceful, free, and light. Without our usual thinking about a particular event or thing, our experience of it completely alters. This is how we live in a world of thoughts, not reality, and how our perception of reality is created from the inside or through our own thinking. With this new understanding, you will just uncover the cause of all our human psychological suffering. The root cause of our suffering is our own thinking. Now, before you throw this book across the room and light it on fire, I am not saying that this is all in our head and that isn't real. Our perception of reality is very real. We feel what we think and our feelings are real. That is completely undeniable. However, our thinking will look like an invertible, unchangeable reality to us until we begin seeing how our reality is created. If we knew that we can only ever feel what we are thinking, then we knew that we can change our feelings by changing our thinking. Those We can change our experience of life by knowing that it comes from our own thinking, and if that is true, then we are ever only one thought away from experiencing something different and transforming our entire life at any moment through a state of no thought. In short, the moment we stop thinking is when our happiness begins. A young monk and the empty boat, a Zen story about how thinking is the cause of our own suffering. A long ago, a young Zen monk was living in a small monastery that was located in a forest which was near a small lake. The monastery was occupied by a few senior monks, while the rest were newcomers and still had much to learn. The monk had many obligations in the monastery, but one of the most important one was their daily routine, where they had to sit down, close their eyes, and meditate in silence for hours at a time. After each meditation, they had to report their progress to their mentor. The young monk had difficulty staying focused during his meditation practice for a variety of reasons, which made him very mad. After the young monk reported his progress, or better said, lack of it, to his mentor, the elder monk asked the young monk a simple question that had a hidden lesson. Do you know what is really making you angry? The young monk replied, while usually as soon as I close my eyes, I begin to meditate, there is someone moving around and I can't focus. I get urged that someone is disturbing me. Even thought they knew that I am meditating. How can they not be more considerate? And then, when I close my eyes again and try to focus, a cat or small animal might brush past and disturb me again. By this point, even when the wind blow and the trees branches make noise, I get angry. If that is not enough, the birds keep on cramping and I can't seem to find any peace in this place. The elder monk simply pointed out to his pulp, I see that you become angry with each interpretation you encounter. This is exactly the opposite of what is the point of your task. When meditating, you should find a way not to get angry with people or animals to any other thing around you that disturbs you during your task. After their confusion, the young monk went out to the monastery and looked around to find a place that would be quieter so that he could meditate peacefully. He found such a place at the shore of the lake that is nearby. He brought his mat, sit down, and start meditating. But soon as flocks of birds slammed down in the lake near where the monk was meditating. Hearing their noise, the monk opened his eyes to see what was going on. All through the bank of the lake was quieter than the monastery. There were still things that would disturb his peace, and he again got angry. Even though he didn't find the peace he was looking for, he kept returning to the lake. Then one day, the monk saw a boat tied at the end of a small pier, and right then an idea hit him. Why don't I take boat, row it down to the middle of the lake and meditate there, in the middle of the lake? There will be nothing to disturb me. He rowed the boat to the middle of the lake and started meditating. As he had expected, there was nothing in the middle of the lake to disturb him, and he was able to meditate the whole day. At the end of the day, he returned to the monastery. This continued for a couple of days, and the monk was thrilled that he had finally found a place to meditate in peace. He hadn't felt angry and could continue the meditate practice in a calm manner. On the third day, the monk sat in the boat, rowed to the middle of the lake, and started meditating again. A few minutes later, he heard some slashing of water and felt that the boat was rocking. He started getting upset that even in the middle of the lake there was someone or something disturbing him. When he opened his eyes, he saw a boat heading straight towards him. He shouted, "Your boat away, or else you will hit my boat." But the other boat kept coming straight at him and was just a few feet away. He yelled again, but nothing changed, and so the incoming boat hit the monk's boat. Now he was furious. He screamed, "Who are you? And why have you hit my boat in the middle of this vast lake?" There was no answer. This made the young monk even angrier. He stood up to see who was in the other boat, and to his surprise, he found that there was no one in the boat. The boat had probably drifted along in the bazaar and had departed into the monk's boat. The monk found his anger disappearing. It was just a empty boat. There was no one to get angry at. At the moment, he reminded his mentor question, "Do you know what is really making you angry?" And then wondered, "It's not other people, situations, or circumstances. It is just the empty boat, but my reaction to it that causes my anger. All the people or situations that make me upset and angry are just like the empty boat. They doesn't have the power to make me angry without my own reaction." The monk then rowed the boat back to the shore. He returned to the monastery and started meditating along with the other monks. There were still noise and disturbance around, but the monk tried him at the empty boat, treated him like an empty boat, and continued to meditate peacefully. When the elder monk saw that difference, he simply said to the young monk, "I see that you have found what is really making you angry and overcome that.